is Katie. If you've never seen my face before, this is my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you do enjoy this video and my content, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button below, and also click like on this video please if you do enjoy it. To everyone who has seen my face before, hi, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for coming back this Thursday. Just before I get into the video, I just want to kind of give you guys an apology, because I do realize that the video last week was super late and I'm very sorry for that. It made me so cross, but I'm not lying to you when I say it took me 48 hours just to get that video, to get from the clipping thing. I use iMovie and then I use Final Cut, and it would not move out of iMovie into Final Cut, and it would not move out of iMovie onto the screen. And then once I eventually got into Final Cut and put everything together and everything was alright again, it was like way too late when I realized like it was blurry, so I couldn't do anything about that, and it made me so angry the whole time I was editing it, and it was just so frustrating. And then it ended up being so late because it just, everything that could go wrong went wrong. My computer then didn't want to get it back onto out of Final Cut and up onto YouTube, and then when I finally got it onto YouTube, it kept just stopping uploading when it would get to like 90%, and then it would be like no, bye. And so it was driving me crazy, and I am so sorry. I cannot apologize enough for that, but in any case it does look like you guys did manage to enjoy the video in any case, so thank you very much for watching, and thank you for not being too critical of me. I am just getting back into this thing and my camera is not helping me necessarily, so yeah, just wanted to kind of put that out there quickly before I get on with everything. Also, today I just want to obviously mention, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope everyone's, you know, managing, not suffering. It's obviously a very difficult time at the moment, and we all know that mental health wise it's very difficult, so I hope you guys are all good, and yeah, just reach out to me if you need to chat to anyone or anything. I'm always here, I'm always at home. Yeah, so I just wanted to check in with you guys like that, and then we are going to get into this video. But before I do that, someone I want you to see, because she's here. She never comes and sits with me while I film, but hello. But today she's decided to come film with me, haven't you? Haven't you? Do you love me? Do you? Will you wave? Will you wave for the camera? You say hi. Are you gonna give me a kiss? Thank you. You say hi to the camera. Are you tired? Oh no. Say hi. Good girl. Thank you. Mwah. Okay, you can go back to sleep now. Come here. Okay, so anyway, I just thought I'd let her say hi to you guys, because I know she's always popular. She's gone back to sleep already. Okay, cool. So let's get into the video. So if you haven't got anything to drink or anything to eat or whatever, just make yourself comfy, grab a drink, grab something to eat, grab a snack, grab a blanket if you're feeling a bit cold, and yeah, let's get on with today's video. So today I actually wanted to film something else but I actually had like a brainwave while I was in the shower of all places, so I decided that today I'm going to tell you guys about a haunted hotel experience I had. So yeah, I thought that would be really fun. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys basically my experience with a ghost, my ghost story, I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, either way, that is what we are discussing today. So yeah, I just thought it would be a lot of fun, and I know it's actually really funny. What got me onto this is that I was watching celebrity ghost stories but on YouTube, and I can't remember how I got to it. Oh yeah, so I was watching something like bloopers from Criminal Minds because I'm obsessed. So I was watching that, and then obviously like they show you videos that are kind of related, and one of the videos that was related was Matthew Gray Gubler, who plays Spencer Reid in Criminal Minds. He did celebrity ghost stories, so obviously I was like, okay, I'm intrigued, and so I watched it, and yeah, and then suddenly I was like, oh, I have a ghost story, this could be really fun. So I don't know if you guys will like it, but I'm kind of hoping you will, because otherwise it's gonna kind of suck for me. But yeah, I'm hoping we're gonna enjoy doing this together. So let's get on with my ghost story. Basically, in South Africa, we're split into different provinces. Kind of like the way the United States is split into different states, it's kind of similar with us. So we have a similar workup. So we live in Gauteng province, and then there's another province which is sort of more mountainous. It's more it's higher above sea level, and it's called Mpumalanga. Now Mpumalanga is most famous because it is home to the Kruger National Park, which is where most tourists go to go and see all of our big five and all of our wild animals in their natural habitat. So that's really the reason people go to Mpumalanga. So my dad actually grew up in Mpumalanga. He grew up more specifically in a tiny little village town place called Graskop, which is like on the top of the hill. Yeah, so it's really small. This Graskop's a really small like village town situation. It's one of those places where, like, especially when my dad grew up there, everyone knows everyone, and even now it's still like that. So it's one of those real like small town feels. That was where my dad and my aunt lived, and they grew up not just in Graskop but in a hotel in Graskop. Now this is the only hotel that's there. There were like, I think there was still a few bed and breakfast type places then. Now there's still bed and breakfasts, but it's still the only like hotel. And it was owned by my dad's parents, and yeah, that was where he grew up with his sister and his mom and his dad, and they owned and ran the hotel. That's the beginning of the story, and I'll tell you why this is important now. So every year since I was a very little girl, my mum and dad and I have always gone to Mpumalanga, and we go and stay usually in Sabi kind of area or Hazy View area, depends. And then one day we always make sure to take a trip up to Graskop, and that is because that's where my dad grew up, obviously. We went there, I think I must have been around 21 or something like that, and we went there, and after my dad's parents both died, the hotel basically towards the end of their lives became kind of owned by a group of people rather than just by my dad's parents. So there were both his parents, obviously, and then there was another person who I can't remember the name of, and then there was Elva and Hari. And Hari also owns a pancake bar. Just random information you didn't need to know, but yeah, he also owns a pancake bar. He started that, but yeah, they were all kind of co-owners of this hotel. And then obviously when my dad's parents died, Hari and Elva and the other person who I can't remember the name of took over that share in the hotel, and so they all owned it together. So I think I must have been around 21. We go back every year, obviously, but yeah, there was something kind of special about this year. Elva was still alive up to a few years ago, and we actually met her for lunch at Hari's, actually, at the pancake place. And obviously, you know, it's nice for my dad to see her, like, he grew up knowing her, they were all very close. So my dad, you know, she and my dad were chatting and, you know, remembering all of this stuff, and they were actually specifically talking about the fact that like my dad planted this acorn outside of the hotel, like in the gardens of the hotel, and they were chopping it down because it had become infected. So yeah, my dad was like, oh no, that's so sad, blah blah blah, because he planted it when he was a little boy and it literally grew from an acorn into an oak tree. So, you know, it had always been kind of special. So at that point, Elvis says to us, well, you know what, like, let's go to the hotel. It's not full. I can show you a room, and then, you know, obviously we can have a little bit of a wander around and kind of like, you can see the tree for the last time, all of that jazz. So obviously we're like, okay, cool, this sounds amazing, let's go. So we get up from Hari's, we walked to the hotel, and the lobby it's still like very old style. On the outside it looks very new, but like when you get inside, there's like wooden desks. It's quite like, I don't know, it's still quite old style, and they've got that really old key system where like all the keys are like behind the receptionist where she is, so you can actually like see which rooms are taken and which are available still, and they're all like, you know, wooden things with like numbers painted on them. Like, it's very old style. So obviously they'd redone it inside, and they'd redone all the stairs and everything, all of that jazz. So yeah, it was kind of modernized a little bit, but it still definitely held on to this, like, it's still a bit like old style, I would say. So we go in, Alva talks to the receptionist. She's like, yeah, this is Charles. So his parents were the people who originally owned the hotel and whatnot. And the lady's like, oh, that's so cool, that's so cool. And Elvis says to her, yeah, so I just want to go and show them a room because he hasn't been back here since obviously he was a little child. So she's like, okay, great, fantastic, here's a key, there's no one in this room. So we're like, okay, cool. We walk up the stairs. There's no lift or anything in there, and I think there's about three or four floors, I can't remember rightly, but yeah, I think there's 3 floors. But we went up to the 2nd floor, we walk up and everything's fine, and like I'm thinking to myself, this is pretty cool, because like how many people like get to experience the hotel that their dad grew up in as well, because a lot of times it would have changed hands, changed ownership so much that obviously you wouldn't be able to just go in and have a little look around. So we did anyway, so I was like, this is really cool. But the second like I went into the hotel, I had this kind of feeling. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where you're like, I don't know that I'm wanted here necessarily. I feel like, you know, sometimes you just get that vibe that you're like, I don't know, there's something kind of off. So we walked up, went to the 2nd floor, went to this room. I think it was something like room 209, but don't hold me to that because I could be wrong. But we go there, Alva gives my dad the key, and she's like, yeah, okay, cool, you can open the door if you don't mind. She's obviously very old at this point. So my dad's like, sure, no problem. So he takes the key, puts it in the lock and turns it, and the key turns backwards again. So he's like, oh, are you sure there's no one in here, because it seems like the door's locked from the inside? And Alva's like, no, there's definitely no one in here, it's empty, 100%, like there's no worry. So my dad's like, okay, and he looks at her, he's like, okay, but why would that happen? She goes, no, the thing is the locks are still, like, they're old, so sometimes they just spring back. So my dad's like, okay, cool. And one thing to know about my dad is that he's a man of science. He's a metallurgist, you know, he's one of those people. He doesn't believe in ghosts and aliens and ghouls and all of those kind of things. So he's like the least easy to persuade when it comes to like feelings, you know, like I got a creepy feeling. Like, that's not my dad. He doesn't really experience life on that level, which is like, you know, everybody's different. Whereas I'm more like a feeling based person. I get feelings about things and then kind of go from there. So my dad's like, okay, cool. He puts the key in again, he turns it, this time it unlocks. He's like, okay, cool, it's just obviously just a thing. And he goes to push the handle down, and it goes down on its own. So he's like, okay, and then it lifts back up. So he looks at Alva and he's like, are you really sure there's no one in here? Because it seems like there is someone in here, because I just went to go and, like, did you see that? I just went to go push the handle down and it pushed down and then it's back up. And she was like, no, I didn't see anything. My mom and I did. I was standing like right next to my dad, so I was like, this is getting a bit creepy. Anyway, he puts his hand on the door. He's like, yeah, okay, fine. So he puts his hand on the door, opens the door, and I don't know, we went to go in to the door, and there was kind of this like odd feeling in the air more than anything else. And so, like, I don't know, we were like, oh, this is a bit weird, and there was definitely something creaking inside the room. So we like moved forward. Somehow I ended up in the front, and there's no one in there. It's totally empty. So as Alva said, there's no one there. So we all are sort of in the room. It's not very big, it's quite small. So if I can give you perspective, like if the door is where I am, then there's the bed over there, and then on that side is the bathroom. So it's not a big, they're not big rooms, so we were all kind of crowded in there, and so there were two people still by the door, but the door started closing in any case, but then there were people in the way, so Alva just pushed it back open, and then it stayed. So we were like, okay, there's just something a bit odd going on here, but it's fine. And when we went in there, the bathroom door was closed. So Alva's like telling us the history of the room. She's like, yeah, and as you know, like the rondavels used to be behind here. Now the rondavels are like little garden chalets. They're like round huts kind of vibe. And yeah, so there used to be on that side of the hotel these little chalets that were kind of set out in a courtyard area where you could go and stay if you didn't want to stay in a hotel room. And they're literally like below this window. So she's telling us all about this and saying, you know, this is when this room is built, and telling us all this interesting information. So while she's doing that, my mom like goes over towards the bathroom, and she goes to the bathroom door, which is closed, and she opens it, and as she opens it, there's this like gust of cold air. Bear in mind that outside it was like 35 degrees. So it's hot outside. It's not cold. There's no reason for there to be a cold breeze. There's no windows in the bathroom. So we were all like obviously a bit shook, and it was just me and my mom who was standing close enough to the bathroom door that we felt it, and it kind of went past us. It kind of went past us, through the bathroom, past us, and then off like to where the bed is. And then there was this like kind of creaking, and then the cupboard door kind of opened and closed. So at this point I'm like getting a little bit to the point of freaked out, and I'm getting this feeling like someone doesn't want us in here, and I don't want to be intruding. I get this feeling, I get the vibe, I get you don't want me here, let me just leave. So I'm trying to find a way to hint to everybody that we just get out of the room, because obviously you don't want to be like, guys, there's a ghost in here, we need to leave. So it was really kind of difficult, and I was also quite young, and I didn't want to be that person who was like, I'm so scared. It's just because it's an old building. So at this point, my mum says to Alva, she's like, is there air conditioning in this room? And Alva's like, no, there's no air conditioning, none of that. Obviously they don't have that, they only have a fan. So at the mention of this fan, which is the ceiling fan, it just turns on of its own accord. And it's still off at the wall. Like when you look at the wall switch, it's on 0. So it shouldn't be on, but it is. It's going round. And Alva's like, no, it's just the wind. But there's no freaking windows open. So at this point I'm like, okay, I really need to get out of this room. I'm getting this really cold feeling like seeping through me. And like I said earlier, I tend to be quite perceptive to those kind of things. It's obviously just who I am. That's just my nature. So I tend to really get those vibes quite strongly. So I was kind of like, okay, I think we all need to leave. So I kind of said to my mom, I was like, you know, Mom, I really think we ought to leave now because there's something a bit odd about this room. And she was sort of like, yeah, but obviously your dad's interested. And my dad was still standing talking to Elva. So my mum and I were just kind of like dealing with it, and eventually the fan just stopped moving, and you know, everything kind of seemed okay. And then I managed to kind of chat to them and say to them, okay guys, like, ooh, can we go see something else? You know, I was like, oh, can we go see the dining room and everything? Because my dad had mentioned various times about like the dining room and all sorts of stuff about that. So I was like, guys, let's go see the dining room, in an effort to try and get them to get out of the room. So they're like, oh yeah, cool. So everyone starts leaving the room, and my dad gives me the key, and he's like, okay, cool, won't you just lock the door, and I'm gonna help Elva down the stairs. So I'm like, shut, let me do that. So everyone's moving away. I'm the last one. The door is still like ajar, and as I pull the door closed, like there's this rush of cold air just as I'm about to close it. And as I close the door and go to lock it, I hear footsteps on the other side of the door. And I'm like, what? So I unlock it again and look in, and there's no one there. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I'm like very freaked out at this point. Now I'm alone up here as well. So I'm just like, shove it. Fuck this. I'm just gonna shut the door, lock it, and let's go. I can't do this. So that's exactly what I did. Shut the door, lock it, and again I hear footsteps on the other side. This time I'm like, I'm not stupid enough. I'm not doing that again. Let's just leave it. So I go downstairs, and we go off around the hotel, go into the garden, and then at one point my mum and dad and I were kind of alone looking at some art, some local art they had hanging up, and my dad goes, that room was really weird. And I'm like, yeah, I think there was like someone in there who in fact didn't want us in there. And he was like, really? Seriously? I just felt like, I don't know, it was just really weird when I like went to touch the doorknob and everything, when I went to the door handle and it just went down. And then he said that when he actually put his hand on the door handle to open it, it was really, really cold to the touch as well. But it wasn't when I used it. Now, obviously that could be because everybody had had their hands on it. But yeah, I do think it was something really, really spooky. And then we went out into the gardens to go and obviously see my dad's oak tree for the very last time before they cut it down, which is so, so sad. So yeah, we went to go and see that, and then we walked past, you know, along past, and where the rondavels were, and I was like, I had this kind of drawer, and I was like, oh, that's the room that I love that I have a torch. And I was like, oh, well, above there, just there, is the room that we went to go and see. So, you know, I don't know, I just felt drawn to look up. So I look up and I can see like the shadow of someone by the curtain. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So I like turn around to Elva and I'm like, oh, there's someone in that room now. And everybody turns to look up and there's nothing there. And everyone kind of looks at me like, Caitlin, I think there's something wrong with you. So, but that's kind of the story. But I found it so scary because although nothing really happened, there were definite like scary bits and pieces. And I cannot walk into that hotel anymore. I just can't. I find it so scary. All I can remember when we go past that hotel is that random ghost, I assume, who was in that room. And so I've always wondered, like, did someone die in there? But no one knows the answer. No one can seem to know the answer, and Elva's died since. And yeah, it was just a really creepy situation. And I did ask her as well. I was like, you know, has anyone ever died in the hotel? And she was like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I suppose maybe. And I was like, okay, cool. So, I mean, we don't know, we'll never know. It's really, but I found it really scary as well, because I was like, so maybe someone died in that room, and maybe there is a ghost there. But that was my personal experience, and what made it even more, like, even weirder was the fact that we all had that experience. It wasn't just me, it was me and my mom and my dad, and we all kind of had a shared experience, and the only one who seemed pretty much oblivious to the whole situation was Elva. And that was also kind of weird, because it was almost like she wasn't experiencing the same things we were. And I don't know, you know when you go into those rooms, those really old style rooms, where there's just also something about them, like they have crocheted blankets. There's this like there was a very specific kind of smell in the room, of like kind of an old person smell. I don't know that that's a real thing, but like, if you understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm getting at, then yeah, sort of like baby powderish, I guess, in a way. So yeah, that is my little ghost story for you guys today. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. It definitely wasn't clickbait, I hope you don't think it was clickbait. I thought it was really, obviously, a cool story to tell as well. And obviously you get a little bit of history about my family and me, and if you have stayed in that hotel by any chance, I don't know why you would have, but if you ever have stayed in that hotel, just let me know below in the comments, and I will link, what will I link today? Oh, well, I link this top because this is from Cotton On, and a lot of you guys always ask what I'm wearing in my video. Sorry, my dog is begging to go out. Hang on 1 second. Aria, you can't leave right now, baby. Aria, no. Can you wait? Thank you. Dogs. It's like having a toddler. Don't do it again. So I will link all of those. I think what I'll do is I'll also link the hotel and Graskop and all of those tourism things and places to go, in case anyone's thinking of visiting on Mpumalanga one day, someday in the future, when we are allowed out of our houses again. Should that happen. Let's pray. So yeah, I will link all of those down below. I will link this top, which is from Cotton On. I know a lot of you like to know what I'm wearing in the videos, and this top is super cute as well. So let me just show you. It's like a cropped kind of vibe top. It's very pretty. You can scrunch it more or less, and yeah, it's really lovely. It's got like puffy sleeves. I just think it's one of those really nice tops that's super easy to wear, and just, it's also really comfortable. It's cotton, so super easy to wear. Anyway, that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it until the end, congratulations, mate. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week for another video. Stay safe, love you, bye!